Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can go ahead and create a or how to create a conditional access policy which is going to be applied on the PIM activation role while user is trying to activate the role, right? Via the PIM, right? So it means that let's say I am as an end user and I wanted to activate my role, right? And as user should be able to enforce through the conditional access policy, right? And that conditional access policy is going to ask users to re-authenticate themselves so that we know that identity is part of our organization and that identity is also be going to be validated, right? So that is what I wanted to show you in this video, and this video is something you might have been seen and you might have seen different experiences, but yeah, this is something really great appropriate way, right? And this way is going to be keeping up the record as well as making sure the identities are also been validated and verified, right? So I'm going to show you from the beginning by creating conditional access policy and then create authentication context, which we will be attaching it to the conditional access policy, and then we would attach it to the role, right? So, and what is the end user experience as well, so that all of that flow would be shown up here. So I'll just share my screen and show it to you, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So let me share my screen quickly here and I will show you. And also I will create the authentication context, which is also been showing up here. So we'll show you all of that. So definitely it's going to take a bit of time because as soon as we create an authentication context, conditional access policies, and then assign a role using PIM, right? And that is going to be something which is going to take a bit of time, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So let me share my screen quickly here and I will start from the beginning. All right, so I am on the Entra portal here, and if I have to go back to home page, so on the Entra page or home page, then let's go to the conditional access policy where I'm going to create a conditional access policy, which is going to be assigned to that role first or to the users first. And then, so starting with, we can start with by creating the authentication context as well. So let's say I wanted to create a policy, which is, let's say, PIM role activation, CA for CA as in conditional access, and then PIM role activation. So either we can select all users or specific user or group. So I'm going to select all users for now. And under the target resources, we need to select the authentication context. But I have not created appropriate as of now. So I'm going to just select it. And under the grant section, I'm going to select a required MFA and select the required one of the selected one and keep it as a read only for now or report only. And we need to go ahead and create authentication context as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create one, right? So that is going to be created here. Let's say I wanted to PIM authentication, and I can give it the same description as well and save this. So once we create it and we have that created, now let's go back to conditional access policy where we need to edit that one policy, the existing policy, right? So let's say find that policy here. We have assigned it. Now we need to go ahead and change the authentication context, right? So we have created this one. So I'm going to add that one here. And we can also put other conditions based on the network conditions like user risk, sign-in risk, insider risk, on device platforms, locations, right, as well as cloud applications, and filter for devices as well, along with authentication flows. But for now, I'm not going to change anything. Definitely, basis on our requirements and as per the verification and validation that we wanted to go ahead and do. So we have a bunch of options and conditions that we can put together. And once we are good here, I'm going to simply turn it on and save this policy, right? So we are done initial part where we had to create a policy and add and create authentication context to it. Now we have an action to take for the role assignment within the PIM, because this policy is more over of how users can activate their roles with conditional access policy, where they need to authenticate themselves with that conditional access policy while activating that respective role, right? So I'm going to simply go to roles, right? And from here, under the roles, I'm going to select, let's say, maybe application administrator, and then I'm going to add this role to one of the user, right? So this role would be added to that respective user, and when this user is trying to authenticate, not authenticate really, but when this user is trying to activate that role using Entra PIM, right? So that action is going to ask this user to authenticate or re-authenticate via, because how? Because the conditional access policy is going to enforce that one. Let's say, let's add this user here, because this is the user I wanted to give it an access. I'm going to make it eligible, and we don't want to set it to active and permanent, something like that, but we just wanted to keep it eligible, and either we can set it to permanently or for a particular period. So by default, we get 1 year of period from this date and time till this date and time. So I'm going to keep that and eligible. So let's say go ahead and assign it, right? So it's going to be assigned. Okay, assignment is completed. And to do that, we need to go to role settings and then hit this edit button. So from here, we need to add the authentication context, this one, and we need to update it. So by default, it would be either none or Azure MFA. Mostly it would be none, but you need to go ahead and do this one. I'm going to update this setting, and this would be updated as well, right? So if you don't see that is updated as well, then you can go to assignments, and here you will see this account, right? So you can simply update it as well and take the appropriate steps and do that, right? Also, you can do that using the settings section here if that option is not enabled. Let's say you wanted to do this for applications administrator role, click on it and then hit the edit button, and you are here, right? So you need to select the appropriate authentication context that we have created for, and then we are good here, right? So now we have set up appropriate configurations. So let's see what would be the user experience, right? So this is the user account I'm logged in, where we have assigned that role, right? And then we are going to see what would be the experience of here, this user. So now you can see that once I refresh, this user has this role. And now if I go ahead and click on activate, right? So it is going to validate this request first. And once it is validated, it is going to show this flag or pop-up here saying that a conditional access policy is enabled and may require additional verification. Click to continue. So before doing and taking any actions, this user has to re-authenticate and confirm whether this is valid account and appropriate credentials are available in order to activate this role. Let's say go ahead and click on this one, and this is validating the user identity and verification. And once it is done, this comes back to the same page, and now it is saying that validating request. And once that is done, it is going to give us the option to enter the reason or the options or details about why you wanted to grant this access or role, right? So let's wait for this to complete the process. All right. So let's say I put an reason here, need access to register an app, right? So something like this, and then I can go ahead and hit the activate button. So now you can see that it is flowing through those stages, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, right? So it starts the processing, and then you can see that from the beginning, roles, activate, scope, and status, right? So now here you can see the refresh in number of seconds. So it starts refreshing after 5 seconds of role assignments, and it is going to assign that role. So now this user has this role activated, and you can see that user has access to all the different pages or different capabilities of Entra, right? Because once this role is activated, and you can see that this role is scoped on directory level, right? And it is direct membership. So I have added it directly using PIM. And we can do that same as using group as well, right? So, so group is something like where we would be assigning a role on a group level, and then we would be assigning that user or adding that user to the group. And then it is going to start the further process, right? Now here you can see that your active assignments have changed. Click here to view the active assignments. So now this is under the eligible. So once you click this flag or under the active assignments, you would be able to see the role is activated on your account, right? The role is activated now, and the end time is this one. So today's date at 6:49 PM, this role is going to be automatically deactivated because it is set to deactivate or expire after 8 hours. So that's the by default period that we can set up, and this way we can save the highly privileged roles to be automatically revoked from the user identities, and we don't want people to be able to use or have the active roles continuously or 24/7, right? And even once the user has completed their work and they don't want to use it, they can simply go ahead and deactivate, right? And then that activate or that role is going to be automatically removed, but user would be still be eligible. When needed, they can come back here and activate this role, and by performing the validation and activation, this role is going to be activated on their account, right? So this is how it is. We can go ahead and enforce the conditional access policy while enabling or activating the roles on the user accounts. And it is going to make sure the user identity is valid, authenticated, and verified as well. And it's going to be really be providing the additional details on us for us, right? So we can go ahead back, and even we can look into the audit histories as well. So here you can see that this user started or we have added this user to the eligible, right? And then this user add eligible to the PIM role, which is a John, subject as a user, and then update role setting in PIM, right? So this user has added successfully to the PIM role, and this user has that activated. So we get to see all that details, even if we wanted to track down what was happening during day, week, month, custom period, and who is on eligible, assigned, activated, and active, assigned plus activated options. And then we get to see on the member level or group level or all activities, right? So these are the filters where we have options to export as well, right? So these are the different things that we can do, and it's very straightforward and a great way to do it, right? It is something definitely we wanted to make sure track out the changes and who is requesting access, who is using what level of access, and all of that can be tracked and seen here, right? So yeah, that is what I wanted to show you, and hope you learned something. And let me know if you have used this method before and what are your experiences, whether it worked for you, what are the challenges you faced, if any issues. I would be happy to discuss it further and answer any questions that you might have, right? And also don't forget to watch other videos around Entra ID, Microsoft 365, Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, and FinOps and Azure, right? So yeah, that's all for this video. And yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video and channel as well. And yep, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.